What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single video. I hope you're having a very happy new year. I went on a quick little Vegas expedition with some of my closest girlfriends, and unfortunately when I got back, I wound up catching what I think is a flu or a fever, you know, as a result of going from desert heat to Arctic cold practically overnight. So, you know, apologies for the late video, but I've been trying to feel better. As you can see, I'm still trying to hang in there, but let's jump into the episode recap of the 7th episode of Teen Mom OG. It starts off with Deborah FaceTiming David to let him know that Farrah and Sophia are going to be celebrating her mom's birthday with them. Apparently, Farrah and Sophia haven't seen her Deborah's mom in well over a year. She also told David very excitedly that there are only 60 days until the two of them, you know, tie the knot and get married. But David said something along the lines of, well, I don't count down or anything like that, and totally shut down her excitement, which to me was a bit of a red flag. I would think that a groom would be excited for his own wedding, no? Next up, Maci and her dirty ass shoes hop in bed to talk about how Ryan's addiction has affected family dynamics, and Taylor blesses us with his fine ass barber CT as he talks about how he wants to surprise Maci with a skydiving trip. And then Catelynn and Tyler complain that Brandon and Teresa won't bend over backwards and kiss their ass by having a beach day together. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Amber says she'll never talk to Matt again and admits that he used her and stole her money, but that she won't be suing him because a lawyer would cost a lot of money. She then tells her producer that her new boyfriend was going to fly over to see her, and that it's someone who worked as lighting for the Marriage Boot Camp show that she had just appeared on with Matt. Amber's producer asked her if she's ready to date again after the end of her 3-year relationship, and remember, they were even engaged to Matt, and this was just over the span of literally 10 days or less. And Amber's like, yeah, I think I'd given it and Amber was like, yeah, I think I've given it enough time. Literally, you guys, it's like these teen mom girls don't have feelings or something. How you can get over a 3-year relationship, especially one that is so abusive like that, in a span of like 10 days is just beyond me. It literally does not make any sense whatsoever. Now again in Tennessee, Ryan and Mackenzie are planning engagement photos, and the producers ask why they're doing engagement photos if they're already married, and Ryan claims that they didn't have a wedding yet. And I'm just sitting here like, yes, Ryan, you did have a wedding, but unfortunately you were too high to really remember it. Like, you know, your black widow of a wife and your stupid parents are the ones who dragged you there high out of your mind. But unfortunately, you did have a wedding while you were way too inebriated to be able to consent. It's really not like you were hanging around on a sidewalk with Mackenzie in a wedding dress, an officiant, your parents witnessing, crying, but witnessing nonetheless, and you in like some kind of a tuxedo just for fun, dear. You had a fucking wedding, okay? So Mackenzie keeps asking Ryan to get ready, and he's just not interested in doing it at all. He starts playing around with some kind of a toy truck and then asks her how much she spent while shopping, and Mackenzie claims to not know how much she spent, kind of like how she didn't know that someone passed out behind the wheel was high on drugs. They then bicker just a little bit more before Ryan declares that he's going to take a shower to get away from Mackenzie, and she then follows him over to where he's at to scold him for acting up on camera. And y'all, I bet she wishes that he was still sedated so that she can continue to shop in peace and control his ass. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Gary reveals that Amber is about $10,000 behind in child support, still not visiting Leah, and he even says that they don't consider Amber to be a mom but a fun aunt. Finding out that Amber was almost $10,000 behind in child support was absolutely enraging to me, because we see how much money Amber goes through. You know what I mean? Like, she bought the grandpa a Corvette. He used her money to buy one of his children a car on the special. We also learned that she's been paying off some of his child support cases. They've been flipping homes together. They've got like 20,000 dogs to take care of in this home. So how does she have money for all of these things, including all of her fancy little manicures, but she doesn't have the money to pay for her own daughter? It's just so sad. And even the whole her not visiting Leah thing, to me, because she's too depressed, I mean, it can be a legitimate reason if the person is consistent with, you know, the state of their depression, but Amber's only ever too depressed to leave her house when it comes to her daughter, Leah. She's never too depressed to go, you know, see Matt and what he's up to. She hasn't been too depressed to get her, you know, weekly manicure. She's always posted up in a nail salon somewhere, or to go eat out with her friends. So what is the truth here? Why does she avoid her daughter so much? It's really pathetic. Christina says that she gets that she's got boundaries with Leah, you know, because she is quote unquote just a stepmom, but she's starting to stress out over all of the questions that Leah's been asking about Amber's whereabouts. And Gary leaves off the scene by saying some people want to be parents while others don't. And unfortunately, that really is just the way the cookie, you know, happened to crumble for poor Leah. But lucky for her, she's got a great dad and a great stepmom, and she seems to be growing up to be an amazing young girl. Now, I don't remember what city this exactly took place in, but in the next scene, Farrah took her daughter Sophia to have lunch with what I assume is a porn star or a hooker of some sort, who looked literally like burnt leather, like very, very Mickey Rourke, okay? And then Farrah over lunch celebrates how Sophia has all the time in the world to do important things like dine with hookers. Now that she's pulled her out of school, my jaw literally dropped at how batshit crazy this woman is. They then go over to Sophia's great grandma's birthday party, where Sophia says that she hopes David isn't there. You guys, they talk way, way, way too much around that little girl. It was just so eerie how she was this entire episode. It actually gets worse, believe it or not. Catelynn and Tyler's visit with Carly seems lovely from the photos, and Catelynn literally looked broken as all hell after visiting, whereas Tyler looked like he was more playing a part after he noticed how somber Catelynn looked. Now, Ryan and Mackenzie shoot their engagement photos while Maci and Taylor hit up a steakhouse to celebrate her birthday. Guys, I really wish she'd go back to her old bob because her hair is much too thin to be that long. It just looks stringy and greasy. Now, it turns out that Amber's first date with Andrew went well because we get to meet him in her next scene. He gives some kind of compliment to her about her eyes that had me feeling like he had a little bit of sugar in his tank. I was just like, Amber, are you sure that man is into you? Because the way he just said it, he was like, your eyes just match the color of the ocean. What? Anyway, Andrew says that he was attracted to Amber's story on the show. Red flag alert. Amber was there because she was a sugar mama who lost about $100,000 to a geriatric deadbeat. It's clear to anyone with a working mind that what Andrew means by that is, wow, I stumbled upon some kind of a sucker who just throws money out there like it's nothing, and I couldn't resist having my shot. When producers ask Andrew when he's planning to return home, does he even have a home? He says that he's extended his stay by missing his flight. Red flag alert number 2. Did Amber's last boyfriend not, force his way into her home permanently by showing up and not having a return ticket home? Remember, he claimed he was homeless or whatever, and just the relationship went from 0 to 100, but from there. Next up, Farrah and Sophia meet up with Deborah later for dinner, and Sophia was acting like she was suffering from some sort of exorcism. I really do try to refrain from speaking on the children of the show too much because, again, they really are just kids. But Sophia in this scene was just like disturbing. I don't know what was going on there, like with all the growling, like all this weird stuff going on. I just don't know what's been going on. And you can just tell that she was really stressed out over this relationship that Deborah has with David when she doesn't even really see David that much from what I know. It just seems like Farrah rants to her like they're co-girlfriends or something like that, as opposed to mother and daughter. And it weighs on Sophia really heavily that this is something that seems to traumatize her mom, and she seems to be internalizing it herself as well. This whole scene just was a huge cry out for help. In the midst of this little meltdown of sorts, Farrah takes Sophia aside to the washroom, and Sophia says she never wants to see Deborah again if she marries David. Like, you guys, are you effing kidding me? What type of garbage is Farrah feeding this poor child? Let's talk about how much Amber really showed her ass in this episode, shall we? So remember, Andrew extends his stay by canceling his flight ticket, and so he's still at Amber's house, and Amber decides she wants to pretend to be a mother, now that her new boo's around. So she calls up Gary, after not seeing Leah for God knows how many months. She calls up Gary. She goes, Gary, I want to see Leah. I want to be there in 30 minutes. And Gary's like, wait, who is this? You want to see who? Like, huh? And so Amber just acts really upset over how Gary reacted to it. And Gary reacted like any other parent would be like, Really? You haven't seen this child in X amount of months, and now all of a sudden you are calling me and telling me that you demand to see my child in the next 30 minutes? Really? Like, who do you think you are, miss? Who the hell do you think you are? Amber, sis, what happened to that depression you claim to have? It's really funny how it always only disappears when you have a new man, okay? Like, you had all the energy in the world to be freaking around with this Andrew fella, and now that he's in town, you seem to have found the energy to see your daughter that you seem to have forgotten you even had. Y'all, Amber is so dumb that she even lets Andrew drive her expensive ass car to drop her off and pick her up. Like, he won't just run away with it. Like, she literally hardly knows this person, and he's rolling around in her, you know, what is this car, like 70,000, 80,000, 60,000, I don't know. Another question for Amber, she seems to lose her ability to drive whenever a sugar baby comes into the photo. So of course, she couldn't just drive herself there. And she, in her voiceover, she's like, I only had him drop me off and pick me up because I can't have a meeting boo-boo too soon. But, you know, we of course already know that he met Leah by week 2. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, Tyler reveals that Catelynn bawled her eyes out the night of the visit with Carly about how bad it sucked that they were so young and had shitty parents that made it impossible for them to be able to raise Carly on their own. Tyler said that seeing Carly with Nova makes him want to pop out more babies, which sounds like a never-ending cycle to me, but I digress. Catelynn then claims that they can tell Carly really misses them by how tightly she hugs them, and because Carly asked to ride with them in their car. Now, you guys, I am fully expecting for you to drag me for my opinion here, and so I'm not trying to be mean to Catelynn and Tyler or anything like that. I'm trying to be as gentle as possible with my opinion on their statements about Carly. I just want to say that in my opinion, I think that Catelynn and Tyler are pretty delusional about Carly's feelings towards them, because Carly is, what, like 8 years old or something like that. So while I do think she's starting to understand that she's adopted, I don't think that she is crying herself to sleep wondering about Catelynn and Tyler the way that they seem to. You know, like, Carly hugged them tightly, okay? Maybe that's just how Carly hugs people. Carly asked to ride in the car with them. Well, Carly's a child. If they see some new fun people coming into the family, or like, you know, to hang out with them or whatever, she's not gonna want the party to stop. She's like 8 years old. She's like, oh, I wanna go with these people. You know, I wanna go have my fun with them too. Like, I don't think that, you know, she secretly wanted to escape with them in the car or anything like that, or was hugging them so tightly that she doesn't want her biological parents to let go or anything like that. Like, you know, and remember, Catelynn and Tyler also said that it had been over a year since they visited Carly, and for an 8-year-old, not seeing a person for over a year, like, do they even remember them in that certain capacity? I don't know. Like, I think that they delude themselves into thinking about Carly's feelings about them, and I think that's what makes adoption so painful for them. They feel like they need to save Carly from some sort of misery, some sort of heartache, you know, and they're not thinking about this from a healthy perspective, and it's obviously not healthy for them, and it won't be healthy for Carly later on either if they keep pushing these weird ideals on her. Does that make sense? Like, what I'm trying to say is that they're just making this worse than it needs to be, just based on the perspective, you know, or the narrative that they're giving this adoption. Like, oh, Carly misses us so much. Carly didn't want to leave us. She wanted to jump in the car with us. Well, Carly is just a little girl who was having fun with you and did not want to, you know, stop seeing you. She wanted to hang out with you some more, which is perfectly okay, but it doesn't mean that as soon as you leave, she's going to be crying, demanding that Brandon and Teresa return her to you. I really do think that when these two learn to accept that Carly is perfectly happy, healthy, and loved without them, they will be in a lot better of a place. They really need to accept that, and everything else will, you know, just fall into place for them, in my humble opinion. Next up, Farrah tells Deborah that Sophia doesn't want to go to the wedding and claims that they won't be attending the wedding if it's to Dr. David. Spoiler alert, they do end up going. It's really funny how how Farrah is so miserable at her mom being engaged. Like, get over it, girl. You can't get a ring, but your mom can. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Gary and Amber talk about Andrew, and Gary asks about her child support, and she claims to never forget Leah, and that she cries about her every day, and that she's only now just started dating. Like, Okay, a week and a half post breakup is really not a reasonable amount of time that you should be bragging about, sis. And in usual Amber fashion, she starts faking all these tears that she's wiping away. Her, signature black mascara malfunctions. You don't see any streaks or anything like that. She really was trying to snag an Emmy nomination, but too bad there are more degrees in the Teen Mom franchise than tears in your eyes, girl. She also claims that Matt tries to guilt trip her into going back to him by threatening suicide, which gives Gary a little bit of a chuckle that he can't even hide from the cameras. It seems like a last-ditch manipulation attempt by a skilled sociopath like Matt. I think that's why Gary was chuckling. And just a PSA, you guys, anyone who threatens suicide if you leave them is abusive. Point blank, period. No questions asked. That is not something that a normal person does. And being the voice of reason that he is, Gary suggests that Matt's latest scheme is a result of him potentially running out of money and trying to get some more out of Amber. And speaking of, I'm honestly shocked that Matt has not traded in her secrets for Raider Online money, but you know what? The day is still young, and I'm sure it will happen in the future. You guys, that wraps up this episode of Teen Mom OG. And as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you had to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more, feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media, where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.